And now we are going to see how we can make our environment barrier-free and accessible for our architects and everybody. So we're looking at laws of accessibility for public buildings. And the interesting thing is that though it's supposed to be laws, I've crafted the lesson in such a way that we are training architects, not lawyers. So we don't have any business learning about the articles and those things and memorizing them, because after memorizing them, what will be the use if our environment is still full of barriers? So we will note the laws, and you just have to know which sections they are. Are you getting it? And then after you've known it, then you have to try and understand how do you apply these laws to the spaces both outside and inside. That is more relevant to us, right? And the other most important thing too is that I always tell my students that anything at the end of all the talkings and everything, and so what? If you're able to answer that question, then it means I've done my job and you've also done your job. And please, I've also been saying that if you come for my lessons or you come for my class, your right to remain silent has been revoked. And anything that you say here cannot be held against you. But to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So just feel free and know that if I ask you a question, I'm not putting you in a tight corner. I just want to find out how you perceive it so that we can all discuss it dispassionately. And or you also have to, we are permitted to laugh, but don't heckle others when they are giving their contribution or argument. And we have a very limited time too, so things that I wanted us to really look at, to really practicalize this, may be limited. So just excuse me, but we will go through it. Tech support. Okay, thank you. So we will look at the introductions and the various definitions, the laws that you are going to be looking at, and then the guidelines and some issues that we have to in terms of terminologies. So one of the very basic things is that all of us here at a point in our lives are going to be with disability, whether you like it or yes. Currently, we have some of them in our midst. If you are wearing a spectacles, you are a person with disability. Yeah, and yes, a person with disability means that you have some disability, other physical, the cognitive one we can't see. But some of you here, the way you react to things, definitely some of your friends will know that we have some at the department anyway. And you can say that the architecture itself actually does some damage to your brain after 6 years. So anyway, so we are saying that disability is not something that is with us. And hence, all that architects we are being enjoying to do is make our environments less of barriers so that everybody can access. And looking at the numbers over there, we are projecting that by 2050, we're going to have about 2 billion persons with disability, and not just those with spectacles. Because just last 2 weeks, I was also given a spectacle, so I also joined the club. I also have a disability which is also coming. So we are in it together, please. So I'm not putting you on the spot. So the disability, as according to Mohammed, is not a problem, but accessibility is where the problem is. So if we know that there are 2 billion people around us or amongst us who cannot or who have some form of disability, then it's not disability which is a problem if they cannot do things in the environment. If the environment is conducive for them, then they will even recognize that they have that sort of impairment in terms of physical space. So the issue here is that we are, as architects, we are enjoying to make sure that children, young people, older people, everybody else is able to find their way, enjoy what the city offers, and do it in an inclusive way. Not that when it is 1st July and everybody is going to the beach. Because you are in a wheelchair, you can't go to the beach. Can you imagine? And people are going to the resort. They are going to Kintampo Falls. And because, as an architect, maybe you are the one who designed the place. Something happened, you're in a wheelchair, and now you can't even go to Kintampo Falls. Can't you see that there's a problem? So that means that for us, we have a duty to make sure that everybody is able to access our environment, the tourism sites, the marketplaces, the hospitals, and GIA office too. We will be looking at some of the things, the barriers that are around here after we've, because there are barriers almost everywhere we find ourselves. Not because at times the intention put the barriers there, but it's out of ignorance. Are you getting it? You don't intentionally say that you are going to put barriers in the way of somebody who is pregnant. But first of all, in your mind, you've already excluded them, that they are special people. But if you are thinking about you and your child, that you are part of it, and the question that I always put across is that, why is it that when you are designing 2-story buildings, we don't forget the stairwell? And we don't say that the stairwell is expensive. So you put some rope over there that when you are coming, you climb the rope and get to the next floor. But we always say that the lift is expensive because you are not in a wheelchair. But if you were in a wheelchair, the first thing you think about is the lift first, and then we look for a generator to support it. The stairwell will be what? The added on. But now you always think, because you have your 2 legs and you can climb, you always think about the stairwell first, say that, oh, lift is too expensive. It's too expensive because you are not in a wheelchair. If you are in a wheelchair, it will never be expensive because you want to get upstairs. So we're looking at also disability is a difficulty when part of your body you are having difficulty functioning. And then you also have issues that has to deal with biological condition or physical loss or mental functions. Well, as long as you have passed the first part, all your mental faculties are working, right? You're not going to cry the second they say, okay. So we look at the classifications of impairments. We have the physical impairment, visual impairment, cognitive impairment, voice and speech impairment. So excuse me to say, if you are talking and you have to do like this, some way, somehow, you also have impairment. And I think one of the things that currently we are all trying to go into push is that every architect, by the time you finish MAC2, you should at least learn the basic of sign language. Because persons with disability are also clients. At times they are richer than those without any disability. So if you have a mumu and he has money and you cannot debrief the person, then what are we doing? You understand? School of Medical Sciences, medical school has made sign language compulsory, because if I can't talk and I come to the hospital and I'm telling you that my stomach is paining me and you give me headache problem medicine, then you are killing me. So they are forcing them to also to learn. So we also need to, if we really going to listen to them, then we have to learn the sign language, and which maybe you guys have escaped, but those who are coming, they will learn it by fire, by fire. And then we also have multi-dimensional. At times somebody will be blind, at the same time cannot talk. And at times somebody will be in a wheelchair and is blind. And when it is multiple like that and he's in your space, and you have to provide for the person, that is where the challenge comes. So the ramp, every time I have a ramp, I have a ramp. Ramp is one of the least things that you actually have to consider when you are dealing with removing the barriers. Are you getting it? Because at times ramp might not even be the problem. The things that comes with the ramp is where the problem is. Currently we have some of the things that comes with the ramp which has a problem here. So if you can pull just one of the releases so that we can have a view of outside, and I will use that one as a demonstration since they will not allow us to go outside. You see our ramp over there. The ramp, we have a ramp over there. Is that, and I can't see it because the ramp, you will see that you can't have a ramp like that when you're in a wheelchair. If you're in a wheelchair, you are climbing it yourself. How do you climb? You need this thing too. But they are assuming that when you get there now, you do open sesame. And and the people who did this are architects. And we are in the architecture house, and it is us who have done it. So I can't say the day we have done this. So if you want to classify this, a quick classification of this, you can broadly classify those impairments into sensory, motor, and cognitive. The sensory one is very difficult to actually design for, but it's also necessary. And actually, because you can't see, it becomes, where in the US, alcoholism is also a disability. So that means you have to even design for and we also, if you can't hear properly you need to design for such a person. It means that in the auditoriums and other places, such people are supposed to, and then the visual is, and when we talk about feelings, there are some people who cannot feel anything. Even when they step on a nail, they can't feel it. If you cut them, they can't feel it. And these type of people, there's a very special way that you have to do. Even that means that they can get under the shower and they'll put it at 100 degrees hot. But it's only when their skin start peeling up that they know that what it is hot. And they can actually be cooking and their hand will fall into the fire. They won't even feel it. It's only when they start smelling that they will see that, oh, something is burning. So when you are designing for such a person, you need to, your shower, when it is very hot, have to make sure it's red. So when you see it's hot, so I have to get out of it. So all these sort of things, we need to know that they exist, and when you are designing for them. And then at times when you are too tall, you are a person with disability. When you are too short, you are a person with disability. But I've not seen any too tall person here. A giant, when you have a giant is also an abnormality. Dwarfism is also an abnormality. So we have to design for them, because you can't, if you are too tall and then we have our door handle over here, every time you get to the door, open it, or you use your knee to just open it before you enter. And you have a dwarf too, and there is a normal door handle that you are supposed to, then you are always want to look for something to stand up before you open it. So we have to consider all of them when you are, and for the speech impairment too, is when you are in the education sector, and then the visually impaired in the education sector is very, very serious, and even in our space. Then for the hearing, as I said, we've already talked about it, and we also have, so on the laws, since 1987 up to today, there are various steps that have actually taken place. And in Ghana, we started working on this, the Disability Act and other things have come in place. But since 2006, when the law was passed, they gave a moratorium of 10 years, that after 10 years, all public buildings should be barrier-free, and persons with disabilities should be able to access it. But as to whether this is actually in place, I think we are all going to be judges when we get into it. So the laws is that all of us should be able to go to the Jubilee House, we should be able to go to Parliament's House, we should be able to go to Supreme Court, National Theatre, and all these places. And these laws, as we look at it, they are the 1992 Constitution, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, Section 20, Articles 25 and 29 of the Chapter 5 tells us about right to education, right, equal accessibility. But when you look at the Disability Act, it enforces, it gives us a legal enforcement, and also gives Parliament the reason for us to be able to get everybody to be able to get information and accessibility to all our buildings. But one of the key things that we need to really look over here, apart from these laws, is the fact that Ghana, even the law that employs all of us, also has legal aspect which deals with employment of PWDs. But this is where I want you to take it very serious. As for the labor, if you don't have a job, it's important that every one of us take good care of the labor issues. But here, these laws, the Persons with Disability Act 2006, Act 715, it comprises of 60 sections. And out of these 60 sections, the areas of concern, which this one you have to memorize. The only part that you have to memorize is this part. The rest of it, you need to understand. Are you getting it? So that if you don't memorize it and they say, where is it? I just like you saying that for God so loved the world, and they ask you, where is it? You say, Acts chapter 3, verse 16. But it's John 3:16. You understand? So at least you should know that the John 3:16 exists. So that even if you have forgotten the content, you will take the Bible and open John 3:16 and read it. Do you get it? So I think this one there, you can memorize this. This one. That's areas of concern, section 6, section 7, section 8, section 25, section 26, 28, 30, and 60. These are the areas that you have to, so that in case you forget about the real content, you take the act and then you can then open it yourself and then always refer to it. Because there are a number of times that you need to convince your client that the lift is as important as what? The stair. And if they don't believe you, quote it and add it to the letters and indemnify yourself. So section 6 deals with access to public buildings. And when we are talking about public buildings, multifamily residential buildings, so apartments and all those things. Then office buildings, shopping malls and markets. Shopping malls and markets. Makola Market is one of them. All the markets. Then hotels, boarding houses and chalets. So, and then public place of assembly, parks and open spaces, zoo, civic plaza. So you realize that Nkrumah Mausoleum, everywhere, the beach, everywhere, deals with. Then section 6 also deals with schools, colleges, universities, institutions of learning. So which of them? Kindergarten, everywhere. And then you also hostels, halls of residence or dormitories. Then if you come down, hospitals, clinics, dispensary, nursing homes, homes of the aged, welfare homes, then transport stations, interchanges. All these are part of it. So you realize that the laws that you have set say that all our environment everywhere should actually be. So when you are given a job or you have some PP that you have to work on it, you take note of this law. And the library, the community center, and the penalty is that you can go to prison 3 months. In some 3 months, or you will be fined 50 penalty units. And it's a school of thought that it is not punitive enough. They should make it like 3 years or something like that, because if you go and sue, one penalty unit is about 4,000, I think 500 cedis or 600 cedis. So if you multiply by everything's about 12,000 cedis. So if you go and sue Kempinski and you have to pay the 50 penalty units, it's not that much. You can easily pay even and give you more. So you stop worrying him and then you continue with whatever. But if it is the money plus the imprisonment, I'm sure by this time there will be a lot of renovation going on. You get it? But I'm sure here, after they collected all your dues, they will use it to fix all these things. But now they're looking for air conditioning before they fix that. Then the parking place for persons with disability to the district assembly. And the key thing is that a person with disability as a pedestrian. So if the person shows an intention to cross the road, either at a pedestrian crossing or at appropriate designated point for crossing, you have to give way for that person to intention to cross. So immediately you see that the person has turned and is fleeing the street, or you have to stop. So you don't have the right to, you know what intention means. So intention can also mean that maybe it is not intentional, but just if you think that the person is about to, you just have to stop. So that is some of the things that we need to know about. You don't need to memorize these sections, the information over there, but know that those acts exist. And then the sections 6, 7, 8, and then the 25, the 26, 30, you have to note them. As I said, the most important thing is this. Areas of concern, the Person with Disability Act, this, the areas of 6, 7, 8, 25, 26, 28, 30, and 60. And if you go there, these are the contents of what is there. So you don't need to go and buy the book itself. But these are and the transitional period was 10 years, and it has passed. And apart from that too, the UN, since Ghana is also a member of the UN Convention for Rights of Persons with Disability also enjoins that we need to also be part of this world of, and there says you should not discriminate. So even if you take, apart from what you are looking at the physical, even internet, you are supposed to make it barrier free for persons with disability. So a blind man should be able to go online. I know you are laughing. Should go online and also listen to YouTube. And one who cannot hear should be able to also to listen to YouTube. So that is what we have signed up for. But because we are not ICT persons, we are persons who deal with the built environment. We want to just stay in our lane and deal with the things that has to deal with the built environment, and leave the tech guys to deal with the internet things. If they won't do it, that is their problem. But for us, we need to make sure that. So the Persons with Disability Act 2006 was passed into law in 2016. And in Ghana, a person with disability means individual with physical, mental, and sensory impairment, including visual, hearing, speech, functional disability, which gives a physical, cultural, and social barriers. So that is the definition of a person with disability. It's just the same thing that we've been talking about. And when we say mental disability, that means even, you know, they are also part of it. So that means you have to also design and plan for everybody. Then, if you look at why these laws are in Ghana, as we've already talked about, there's always a judicial proceedings in persons with disability. But then what I say that we are more concerned as architects is the guidelines, what we have to do to make sure that these laws are practicalized. Anything. And so what? So these laws are there. And so what is it? What does it mean for us as architects? This is one of the key things that is that you need to understand this, what approachability means, what usability means, accessibility, security, orientation, and mobility. These terminologies you need to understand, and this is where the solution comes. So you need to pay attention. For this one, please, I'm not asking you to memorize, but I'm asking you to try and understand it and imbibe it, and let it be part of you. You can ignore the laws. If you do all these things, you don't need to know the laws. It's just like you trying to be righteous and not looking for the 10 commandments. If you do the right thing, it comes naturally. You will not go and take somebody's wife or kill anybody. But if you want to go and look for the laws and say, where does it, you have a lot of problems and stress. Just do this and you don't have stress. So when we talk about approachability, we are looking at how do we get there. So for a building like this or a facility like this, or the National Theatre or the Accra International, whatever, getting there, it is from the outside coming in. So when we arrive from the entrance, at times the main gate itself becomes a barrier. Because if I'm in a wheelchair, when I was coming, I saw some of you outside. If I was in a wheelchair and I was managing to drive myself, and I got there, and looking at that gate over there, and you guys were not there, that means that I have to park, zoom my wheelchair out, and then find my way of what? Pulling that heavy this thing, then find my way back into the car, and then drive in and find my way back down there and open and close it. You see, just when I get there, there should be a sensor that should just drive the thing out, or I put something there so that I can move. All sort of barriers, as if this. So that one is the first barrier that you use getting here. Approachability is not, we feel the place failed miserably. Then we have usability. Usability is after you have gotten there and you get inside the building, how to use the facility. You discuss all this. And then when you get inside the facility too and you want to use it, how to find your way. Right now, if you have not been here before and you want to get up, where is the exit? Or where is the WC? How do you know? We were told. So if you couldn't hear, there should be a sign so that WC here, exit here, in case escape, emergency. All the signs are supposed. Nobody should tell you anything. You should see what. And are you getting it? You should know, when you get into the space, you should know the science and that is what we call findability. Security and comfort is also very important, because at the end of the day, in terms of any emergency, how do we deal with security issues? When the place is on fire and you are blind and your ears are also not working, how do you deal with that? Have you imagined that? You are blind, your ears are not working, and there is fire in the space. And for your information, you have to have checked the questions that I set for your exams. I don't ask for memories. If you memorize any of those things, it will help you. You need to understand, because there is always going to be a real life scenario. Like you are in a car and there is an accident and you have to go back to work. And how do you fix your office space for yourself? Or I think one of the days it was the school children who were the science and math quiz, who got into an accident, and they went back to, I think, in Fansipim or Augustine's, and now the school authorities were supposed to fix the place for these science. So one of them got blind, the other was in a wheelchair. So now you have to understand that it is science and math quiz. So the science students have to go to the lab. So one of the first places is the lab. Are you getting it? And then the classrooms. So you have to bring your mind to what type of disability these guys have, and where they are going to be, and trace their path. So it is going to force you to think, because when you get the project, they are not going to tell you that, okay, straightforward. And at times, your client might be a person without disability. And whilst you are in the middle of the project, or whilst you are about to start the project, no, something happened. He got into an accident, he's in a trauma. He can't even remember anything. How do you continue the project with such a person and make sure that the place is conducive for such things? And that is how I set my questions. So I want us to quickly go through some of these guidelines, and then we will look at the real life scenarios and see how your thinking ability also, and I hope we are not having any cognitive issues. So approachability. As I said, you are approaching the building, we need to make it approachable. That's when you want to make it approachable, that means it has to be well illuminated. That one we all understand it. Well illuminated, and the signs have to be readable. Then information text should also be supplemented with international graphical standards. At times, you go there, you see H, you don't know whether H is a hotel or H is a hospital. Because you have some of the H which is red, some is green, some is blue, and some is black. So in Germany, the H means bus stop. And in Ghana, H means hospital. And so you need to look for the standard, and some of them, the disability, instead of them they use the wheelchair. So that means that it's only wheelchair persons who has disability. How about the one with the blind people, or those of you in space? Because if you are in space, at times when your vision is short-sightedness, or either myopia, or what it is. The other one is what? The one is long-sightedness. So when things are far, you can't see. So that means that you can get there, you end up getting lost. Or when you are close to it, you can't even see it. So that means that the symbols have to be big enough for you to read. Not the one that when you get there, you see people getting to the place and they are trying to read what is there. No. And at times with the type of light they use, it will destroy. It gets into your eyes like that, and the sign that is supposed to direct you is giving you eye problem. Then the color coding too must be very important, and then also we also have to use photoluminescent pictograms, so that when the light goes off, the symbol light itself by itself. You understand? These are some of the small things that can be done, and it's not that expensive to actually do. So if you drive in the approachability, for instance, you drive in here, there's no symbol showing that this is where the person with disability have to park. You go and park somewhere, somebody will come and park behind you. And then when you come out with your clutches or your whatever, somebody is in your way. So always the parking lot have to be, and outside there have to also to be. So parking not less than 4 for the first 100 spaces, and 2 spaces for each additional 100 parking has to be in place. Marked with international symbol, and then the floor surfaces. Very shiny finishes should be avoided, and slip resistance surface. So at times because you want the place to be nice. Nowadays, you see a lot of people in their houses, they tile everywhere. It's very dangerous. If you tile everywhere, when you're in a wheelchair, it's not easy. So I think in my class for the special planning students, I always simulated I wanted to bring the wheelchair actually here, but when I check the time that I'm supposed to teach, it's only 1.5 hours. Normally, I'll put you in a wheelchair and ask you to go there and go and get the cocoa there and see how it feels like. How it feels like to be in a wheelchair and putting a ramp like a slide. Do you understand? Because you have never been in a wheelchair buying or going to the bank, you always, I have a ramp. It will work. You be in a wheelchair and going through the stones or the dirt, your hand using it, and you are in tie, white shirt. You get a scenario. Don't say that thing that every time somebody is in a wheelchair, that person is poor and is a beggar. You can be in a wheelchair too. And your wife can be in a wheelchair, not because he has any accident, but when the person is pregnant, and the lady architect, you will be in a wheelchair by all means. Unless you don't want to give birth, you will be in a wheelchair. When you get to the hospital, they will put you in a wheelchair. And at times when you are leaving the hospital with your son or your baby, you are in a wheelchair before they put you inside there. They don't want you to walk. And now when you get home, and then you can't enter your house that you yourself designed, then you see, say, so here, that is where I said that the approachability to this place, the stairs that you can see over there. And then the annoying thing is, after you have even managed to take the ramp, you get to the entrance, and then there is a step up. And you see, when we were young, you said that, they have to be changing level so that it is exciting. It's exciting when you're not in a wheelchair. Or when you don't have waist pains. Do you get it? So the changing level that you see at the entrance there, when you are blind, you can just knock your thing and fall over. Or when you have arthritis, and when you have that, raising your leg even 150 that you say, it's 150, it's okay. It's so painful. You've never been an old before. I have not been old before, but if we should simulate old age, you will realize that even sitting down is a problem. So you don't add more problems in terms of access ways and other things. And when, for instance, this door, at least this is easier for you to. So and it is also low, so when you are in a wheelchair, this is easy for you to push. So you can imagine if this one was somewhere here, and then you are in a wheelchair, you get to the entrance. Then when you get to the entrance, miracle has to happen for you to get up and open it and sit down. But another annoying thing is the obstacles in the way. When you get those without disability always go and park, put one of their car tires, the SUVs, one in the walkways. So you can imagine if you are in your wheelchair coming, or you see an SUV partially parked, and you don't know that whether the person should get up from the wheelchair, or all of a sudden the Holy Spirit will heal the person for the person to move. All these things are there. And you get inside the building in the corridors. They go and park boxes, old computers and things over there. So they have forgotten that it's not everybody who only use 50 centimeters. Some people in the wheelchair, you need all the 1 meter walkway or corridor. These are some of the things that, so all these terminologies for you as architects is not strange for you. And please, this is very, very important. And does anybody know why we have these two levels?
Sorry. I think you need 2 tiers of it, because one will be for maybe someone with a stick who can walk, an old person, and then the lower one is for a wheelchair person who can drag himself upwards, right?
Very good. And then also, even the standard for the size of that is important, because your hand, if it's too big, it becomes a problem. If it is too small too, it's a problem. So you have to have a standard that you can hold and grip. If it's too small, you can't even grip. You finish and it's almost like you have to use your 2 fingers. Adonko is the one who says 2 fingers. You have to use 2 fingers to hold it, but you need something that you can grab in your hand. And also the type of material is also important. If it's too cold and that thing is metal, you can't touch it. And it's too hot, you can't touch it. You get it? So the material that you use and the temperature, if it's in the north, the climate, and then you go and use this metallic whatever there. So that's why either use timber or something that will be able to absorb the heat a little. Or else you are provided the timber, nobody can touch it when it is. Or when they get there, they have to remove handkerchief or wear gloves. So take note of that. And if the question so say that I'll get a genuine copy, don't worry. So, and also the level change and then the pedestrian routes. At times, they provide all these things, and from the curbs into the road, they provide curbs and the flower, whatever, and the curbs are there. You say, oh, the place is neat. They painted it white. No, they are all barriers because you can't move from the normal pathway into the other. And then continuous signage. When you are into the space, for instance, as I said, because you are designing for different types of disability, the signage should be in such a way that if it is cognitive, he knows that the red goes to the pharmacy, yellow goes to dispense the consulting room. So when he's just following the red, because it's not everybody who will be looking at so many things. They just need, people with dementia needs little information, because if it's too much, they get confused. So when you know that all red, so when he's coming, he's just following the red, and it will go to a particular place, and he's just following the blue. And the blind man is also using the tactile, using his senses to follow it out to the next point. So it's very, very important. And then contrast of the infographics is also very, very important. When you want to find your way inside, that's the findability. And then the signages inside, the secretary, manager's office, this one, when you're outside to car park, emergency, all these signages and all those things, they are very, very important as well. Then, getting in, the doorways, arch openings, waiting areas, very, very important. The doorways, at times, you get into the building, and your door itself, hey, boss, you do like this. What I do? That is dozing. Have you seen anybody dozing that I said he's sleeping before? Anybody who is dozing is not asleep. Please wake up. Or else I'll let them put off their condition so I start sweating. So the doorways also can become a barrier, which you have to, when you want to access the facility, the building. As I said, the stepping up and stuff like that. Then when you sitting layout, when you get there to the seat, the way, at least here it is flexible. If you are a person disabled, when you come, you remove some of them. But if it is fixed and it is rigged, then you realize that either there should be an access to the last or to the first row. And you have to make sure that all these things, and the floor material, if you use carpet, it has to be one that is fixed permanently, or else if you are rolling the racing, it will also rolls with it, and it's very uncomfortable. And then the corridors and passages, the minimum 1.6 meters. So those of you who have been doing 1.2, be careful. If you are doing the wheelchair, you have to let the wheelchair man pass so that you can also pass. Not that when one is coming, then the one has to do like this. And then if you have Diasa in the corridor, you have Diasa in the corridor, what do you do? One has to go reverse. Then, please, the obstacles, after the obstacles, it's obvious and we also know about it. And then, I say, when you get into the public washrooms, that's one of the most annoying things, that after you have designed the washrooms, you've forgotten that not everybody is as tall as you are. And I like I think, is it Paradise or Lindador? They have different, it's Paradise. Very short one, because if you're a man and you get there, if the thing is low, you will still piss anyway. You do like this and you still piss. But some of them, if it is high, I don't know whether you have to. You do projector. You do a projector. So they are expecting you to do like this and project it. And especially because there are times that you go with your kids. Your children are small and they can't, it's not accessible. So when they get there, so either they will pee on the floor or just you carry them over there or they do a projector. So please, it's very, very important. It's really annoying. And then after you have done that, you want to wash your hands. Now the children cannot wash their hands like this. Instead of you, are you getting it? You have one which is for normal adults or normal height, and then the short ones, the dwarfs, you create another one for them. And the same happens also to when you go to the bank or the offices. The counter is here and you are here. And the wheelchair person, when the wheelchair person gets there and he has the money, I think the last exams, that's the question, that a rich man, he has the money in the bank and he has to go and access it, and when he gets there, he cannot, the ATM is up there. He cannot, if you're in a wheelchair, most of the ATMs you can't see because you just imagine here and the thing is there. And I have a lot of money in that bank. When I enter the bank too and I'm going to collect my money too, the cashier's, this thing is up there. I have my money here, it's my money you are using, and you don't even want me to. So you always have to bring some of them down and then have some also at different heights. Very, very important. Then the ironmongery, usability, when you get in, at times some of the doors, when you are opening, you need, like this man, to open it like that. You, for instance, you always ask for help because it's so difficult, so hard. And then when you open to, you need your shoulders. Because if you are not careful, it will just bounce you back. It will just bounce you back. And we also, apart from that, when you are designing for kindergarten, instead of, if you put it here, all of them will escape. So always, this is here for kindergarten, so that when you close the door, the children don't go out. If you leave it, whilst you are stuck, they open it and they are outside there. So if you go to the kindergarten and everything, their door handles are all up, only for the teachers or the attendants to open it. So if you leave it on the children, by the time you're alone, they have escaped. So, and it doesn't mean that is because it's a kindergarten. Are you getting it? But if it's in the house, you also have to check the location of it as well. And yes, please. You see, that word disabled, there's no disabled person or disabled toilet. It's a person with disability. You first of all change that one first, and then we are on, disability. So that one too, they have a knob for persons with disability where you swipe your card and you press, and the door will open. Are you getting it? So that one, you don't need to, you just swipe your card, it activates it, and then you press it, and then the door opens automatically for you. Because as for the kids there, they are smart too. If they know that if you press it to open, they'll go there. Ping, 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 ping. So they will press it and they run back. They will press it and run back. So you always have to put in extra measures to stop them from playing with it. So you swipe your card, activate, you press it. Yes, please. Sorry.
Like you said, the kindergartens, the door handle has to be very high for the kids not to be able to access it. So I'm wondering, how about the sockets, because they are very low. So where do you put them as well?
So there are various ways of handling that. That's a good question, and you are being observant. There are various ways of handling that. Some of the sockets are up, stay high, but the sockets too have lock. They have socket lock, where you put it there. If you want to do it, you need to consciously flip before you get access into it. And that one, they sell it in all the electronic shops. You put it in there as a cover. They call it child security, so that they don't put pins and other things inside and kill themselves. You get it? So that one too is also very, you have some of them that they are especially the switch. No, the sockets, they might be down, but they have the security. But the switch, if you leave it there, they will peep, 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 peep. They will play with it. So all the switches are also, unless there are places where they want to use it to teach them that when you come in, switch that one, they will intentionally place that one there for them. Any other question?
So for a kindergarten like that, in terms of fire, we said the door should be up. The handle of the door should be up. In terms of fire, how do they escape?
The fire systems, immediately there is fire, there is an escape route, and those doors open automatically because they are connected. You understand? Those doors, the fire escape doors open automatically. The lift shuts down. You can't use the lift. Those are some of the things that you put into there. So if that is the escape, this immediately there is fire, no, boof, it opens automatically, and the door to the lift, boof, also shuts down, and then the rest of it. And then also, because there are different types of disability, at times the floor, if the place where all the persons with disability sit, your chair might be shaking like that, because, and the lights, instead of only the siren, it will be blinking, because if you can't hear, you should see something. So there are all things they consider. Those who cannot hear, those who, so whilst your seat is shaking, others don't feel it, but it is you alone that it is shaking for you, or the thing is vibrating for you. And then the next person, or those who cannot see too, you know that assemblage, then you have to tell you that move to the right, or whatever it is, and then, yes.
So usually we do fire escape stairs. So in situations where maybe you're on a story building, and then you even have the exit open, especially for kids or something, or maybe even people with disability. This is a situation where now we don't want to use a stair, and yes. No, so I'm saying that persons with disability, and that's found their way up there with the lift. Now the lift is out. How do they find their way down?
That is, when you have persons with disability working on higher floors, in the times of security systems, you have dedicated fire escape, whatever, that's it's on a dedicated generator, and it's not being used for everybody at every time. So those type of systems, when you know that maybe floor number 2, 3 have some IT or chief executive who is a person with disability, or the member of parliament or speaker of parliament is on the 8th floor. So that means one of the lifts, you have to put the backup energy on it, which is dedicated, that in case of fire or whatever, that thing will not shut down, because during fire, all your energy system goes off. And that's why you don't have to, because you get trapped in it. But that one has to be either on renewables or something that it cannot be, so that that person can go out. And it happens in the banks and all those sort of places. You understand? And this is a very good, such a question can also come. So, and then it's not, as I said, solving disability issues is always a matter of creating a scenario. But when you create a scenario, you just have to use these steps in terms of usability, in terms of the escape systems and other things. I saw a hand here.
So based off his question, now, based on his question, we did a story building, and then you have a fire lobby. Now because of that, we did, for all the escape stairs, we had a refuge area for each one. Does that also work?
That works temporarily, and it is also very important. And at times, some of the solutions are also, they use the chute system. The way they put the garbage, the chute, when you have a high rise, you can put garbage and it gets in. So they have a chute system for emergency, for persons with disabilities. So when you just press it, open it, but the chute is not like the one with the garbage. It has cloth. So it will take you inside, and you come from the 50th floor down there, inside a cozy something under the basement, and then they will pick you up and take you away. You understand? So there are various ways of handling it. The cheapest one is the chute system, where they have immediately you enter, now the thing ties you up, but gravity pulls you down. But this thing of aggregating at a place is the first step. You aggregate at a point, but you need to be removed. So if you're on the 7th floor and you create a place for people to aggregate, and the fire is coming, clearing all the floors by the firemen can be a very daunting task. Are you getting it? So another step has to be in place, that whilst they are removing them, others too can also join going out. So that is the first step, and is a very good solution.
I wanted to know, so in case you're having like to 50th floor, is it advisable to have a ramp throughout?
Is it advisable to have a stairs upstairs? I'm also asking whether it's advisable to have a stairs. But why did you have a stair and you didn't have a ramp? You see, that is the mindset that I'm talking about. We have a mindset that the first thing is the stairs. Why not the ramp first, and then think whether you need a stair or not? Did you get it? It is. If you have designed, right, if imagine you the one designing, you were in a wheelchair, do you think you start with the stairs? Just be honest with yourself. If the owner was in a wheelchair, and you yourself, you are in a wheelchair, are you sure the stairs will always be your first point of vertical ascent? No, but because we know how to, or we are able to move up, our first point of call is that. This is why we have started teaching at the university. It is a mindset issue. It's just like the gender issue that we are now forcing people to make sure that they employ women at higher positions. The same way that we have to force architects and engineers to make sure that the priority, you see, when you do universal design, you are not only doing it for the person with disability, you are doing it for yourself as well. Because there was a study that they provided a ramp and a stair, and people were always using the ramp instead of the stair. Because it's more comfortable for both the PWD and then those without those without WD to use the ramp than the stairs. Are you getting it? So if you say whether it is always the value judgment. How do you value the ramp? It's a matter of how you value universal design. And it takes time for you to think that my first point of call is to make sure that there is a ramp. And later I'll think about how I put where my stairs is supposed to be. But now we are trying to do the reverse of what we've been taught all these years.
I was going to ask about the universal design. So your previous answer of having abled persons go through one place and then the persons with disability go through another place, use another lift. I was asking, can't you put them all on some alternate power and they can come down a lift? Universal design.
When there is emergency, you cannot control. No, it's not like that. You don't do that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that when there is fire, you cannot determine how people behave, but you can control them. Are you getting it? So we are not saying that when there is fire, all persons with disability, please move to the right, and those of our ability, move to the left. It doesn't happen that way. So when there is fire, those with disability, first of all, we do what training. Fire, you simulate the fire with them, that in this building, when there's fire, please always use this door and move through this place. So you train them. So when there's fire, for them, the first point, of course, is that they will follow the instructions that you've given to them in terms of fire. Then those with disability, those without any disability, you let them know that these are the escape routes and what you have to do. You get it. So it is not that there's a special lift for all those with disability and those. So even those with the ability or those without any disability, some of them will have to use the lift, the emergency lift, because at the 80th floor, when all of us have to come down, and the wheelchair is moving towards his lift, and I know that this lift will go down. You understand what I'm saying? Automatically you follow and or everybody will get into that, especially when you have already aggregated at that common place and there is information that please move to the emergency. The lift itself opens. When it's emergency, that particular emergency this thing opens up. So everybody gets inside there. It takes, and the speed is also high. Because it has to, it's part of the emergency, and when it finishes, it shuts up. Do you understand? But because we don't have a lot of them in Ghana, it's always when you experience it is there. Just as the scenario of the lift, the ramp, and then the stairs. Every time we have to provide a lift of that, they start thinking about cost because they are not in a wheelchair or they are not blind. Any other question? So the switches and control, the material finish, safety signs and alarm indicators. As I said, safety holding areas. This is what you were talking about. The safety holding areas and then fire suppression systems. And you always have to make it multisensorial so that those who can hear, those who can see. And as I said, in the auditorium, in the classroom settings, at times the chairs, you have to dedicate some of the chairs for persons with disabilities because some of them, if the person cannot hear properly, then there should be assistive technology over there that when he gets there, he has to put something in the ear or a ear listening so that he gets the volume higher than everybody else around. Because you cannot assume, so they will put an ear symbol over there that this is for persons with ear problems. And places where they put a symbol of eye, then the symbol of the wheelchair, whatever, is also there, so that if you get there, you know where you are supposed to sit to receive the support that you are supposed to. So if you with disability go and sit at, you are in a wheelchair and go and sit at the person with ear, whatever, your ears will break. Because you hear the volume or the sound higher than the normal person hearing it because the person sitting there is supposed to have that type of support. And the challenges that we have in Ghana, all of us know the draft code was developed by Ghana Standard Authority and it's yet to be, after it has been passed through, we have a problem. Because the people who are always working around these things are all persons with disability. And then also, there is also, after the several accessibility audits of public buildings, there is non-compliance and lack of implementation strategies. We went to Parliament and we did audit of the building over there, realized that the Parliament House itself has a problem. That in case there's a Speaker of Parliament is blind or whatever, he will have problems. And if the President was blind and in a wheelchair, he will have problems. They didn't allow us to publish the results. They said they are fixing it. As to what they have done so far, we don't know yet. But that is our target, that we will be targeting all the important Supreme Court, all the important buildings, and we will be doing that. But we need a lot more hands on deck. So the way forward, we are looking at the situation whereby now land use and spatial planning departments in Ghana and it has to be part of both planning and architecture and engineering. People, we have to train all these ones, and then we need to develop a coherent code to make sure that designers and planners are, and then also the certification of professionals. We need to certify architects who are able to audit, to be able to say that this particular building, you have a class A, barrier-free, whatever, so that you'll be able to, because it's not because you are an architect, that's why you understand everything about barrier-free design. But you have to go through some training. After you have gotten your stamp, you go through training, you get your certification, so that some few of us, when you have a building project or whatever, you can call them on it to provide the solutions for you. So that the rest of it, just like some of, I think, is it Space Loci? He's also concentrating on visuals. It's also a business. And somebody will also concentrate on sustainability. So when you finish your building, you bring it to me, the person will get you all the sustainability, whatever. Then you can, and then another person, all the MEP, whatever, he'll be able to fix it for you. This is what we are trying to put in place so that we get people to do the certification. And then handbooks and manuals, we've started working on it, and we have one that GIZ help us to get. And if you look at this right from the beginning, when we did the cover design, it now went to the design of the cover itself went into debate, because now you are doing something for PWDs. You don't have to make it too colorful for them to get confused as to what is important. So you have to be very simple. The font size, it's not easy. And then when we finish the e-book as well too, we have to, when we got the soft copy, you have to do it in such a way that it can be, blind people can, actually the person who reviewed the document was blind, working in GIS South Africa, and he has to then use the computer to read and then give us his comments about whatever, and it has most of the solutions that we've talked about and more. Then we also talking about curriculum that we have to do also at the universities and for the professionals like what you are doing. Then we also change and sensitize the use of right language to describe the right language. Disabled toilet. There is no disabled. If disabled toilet, that means the toilet is disabled. Disabled person. The person is not. If you are disabled, you are dead. It's a person with disability. There is no disabled person. Please tell the person close to you that there is no disabled person. Please, if you have not learned anything at all, know that from today, don't ever use disabled toilet, disabled whatever, or disabled person. No, everybody here in spectacles, if you are a person with disability, I have my mind there, just that when the sun shines, then I need it, I become a person with disability. If you are too tall, you are a person with disability. If you are too short, you are a person with disability. If you get pregnant, you are temporarily disabled. You get it? And even when you get sick, at times you get sick, you can get diarrhea and you feel dizzy. Temporarily, you are a person with disability. And you can't find your way and other things. You need help. So all these, that is part of the reason why and one of the key things that you want to, the way forward, which is this one, please also memorize it. You need to design. Yes. Design acronym for make a decision. You decide that you are going to use it. Be intentional. That's the issue. So intentional that you are using the ramp. Don't say that after you finish the lift, after you finish the stairs, let's see if you can get a ramp for them. Let's see if you can get a ramp for them. And because we have not actually imbibed this properly, it becomes a problem for us. And then we envision your design and the members, the people that are in the society, the type of scenarios that you have to create, especially if you are working with a bank. You envision what is it that, who are the type of people who will be using this place, who have the money. If you know that people in a wheelchair will come, person blind can come, and all those things, then that means that your banking hall, your ATMs, you're at the hospital. The hospital is even the worst place corporate. Everybody coming there is a person with disability, in actual sense. Everybody going to the hospital, somewhere you are sick, and you need help one way or the other. But that is one of the places that has a lot of barriers. Then you need to set the standard based on global design criteria and make it inclusive and insist, especially whilst you are picking the brief, and if you are the client, kindly insist as well. You cannot solve all the disability issues, then your building itself will become something else. So you look out for what type of people create this as you envision and find out what is the majority or whatever. If you're able to do for most of them, it solves quite a number of problems for everybody. Are you getting it? But in your exams, you are always going to get a scenario. You are always going to get a scenario where, for instance, do does anybody have any of the past questions? Or you've not, you didn't come, if you have some of the past questions, I think one of them was the market scenario. And you can also get something like a library. For instance, if you have been assigned to actually do a library at the place where the flood victims were. You're supposed to do a library for the place where the flood victims were. And this library has to be universal for everybody. So, and you know the problem with flood areas. You see, that is where now your architecture comes in. flood areas, you are always trying to elevate the building for water to pass under. So most of the times, when you working, designs for flood-prone areas are always on stilts or elevated foundations. So that is where your design challenge starts. So when you give you a scenario like that, then you have to think, so in a flood-prone area, what are some of the issues that have to deal with, or the barriers that, and flood-prone areas to have soft landscape, where wheelchair issues are likely to sink when they are moving. So the surfaces that you're going to do, you have to get it, the pavement blocks and other things have to be done so that a wheelchair user, if you go and use grass and the place is already muddy and you're in a wheelchair, how do you move? You understand? So first of all, your architecture will be called to play. Your understanding of the problem or the scenario will be called to play. Before then, you start applying the barrier-free issues. So you will not get a question that said, define this, or you don't have to define, because the real life problems normally don't come as definitions. It comes as a problem where you have to solve. And if you are going to solve it as an architect, then you have to understand architecture first. Then you get the necessary expertise, and then you normalize. So what we are trying to do here is that we need, by the next 5 years, we want to make it normal, that it is normal for you to see a ramp. It's normal for you to see tactile. It's normal for you to, because when you get to the door and you are blind, there should be a tactile here to show that this is the conference room. The person put his hand over there, you know that I'm in the conference room, or room number 1. You don't have to ask, which room is this? Are you getting it? The GIA president, something has happened and then he is blind. Then all of a sudden he can't even use his own space. That is very annoying. And I just chose this one because this recommendation for the financial built environment was very, very important, because a lot of the banks were corporates, and I think this is one of the areas where, so we create this one, then you can also make provision for pharmacy, all the public buildings, a hostel. If you look at a hostel, for instance, what is it that a hostel, if you are working on a hostel, what is it that, and then also when you have trauma victims also have psychological problem, cognitive issues have come in. So you have to, when you are designing for them, you have to think about that one too. And at times it's better when your premises of your answer should always have that the type of impairments that your clients or your users are going to have is maybe visual, cognitive, this, so that now your solutions will be tailored to what your assumptions were. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you just can't answer the question by just providing all the answers that are given. It doesn't come that way. If especially the one that I quietly remember is the one with the science and math quiz victims in the car accident, who have to go back to school. And when they went back to school, the GEA said that there is no money. Get fund money is dried. So they don't have money to prepare. After all, there are only 4 or 5 people. So they can't come and change the laboratory for 4 or 5 people. So the question is, which law are they breaking? And if they are breaking, how can they sue them or whatever it is? And how, if they are going to get the money, what should they do? First, the victims have been traumatized. So at times, when they hear noise crowd, they can get afraid. So such people might need a counseling, whatever, unit. And then the science and math quiz means that some of them are doing biology, physics, whatever. So the laboratories, something else to do. So now your expertise on how to fix a laboratory to make it barrier-free is now coming to play. And once they are students and they are in the boarding house, they have to go and sleep. So now in their dormitories, what do you have to do in the dormitories for persons with disability? And I have to know that in the question, they said that one of them got the leg chopped off, the other one was blind. So when you see all those ones, they are pointers to tell you exactly what you are supposed to expect, or the answers that so you just, for example, use, for example, this person has to do it, for example, and then you answer the question, and it just helps you to also gives you that authority over the subject, so that in case your client catch you unawares and he wants to ask you a particular question, then the next thing that they change from the law, you see all the red that is a diction, we need to change this type, the law always use them disabled person, disabled. But if it will be persons with disability, a person with disability, and even in Ghana, even albinos are considered person with disability. So thank you very much, and I need questions. Questions? Yes, please.
So with the example that you gave with the trauma, so say for instance you have some people going to the stadium, there's an accident. So once there's an accident, that means the trauma comes in. How do you go through the trauma considerations, because stadium is very noisy and all that? So how does it work?
Okay. I think last year I put the class into groups, because I think I was given 2.5 hours. So I put the class into groups and I made them have a discussion. But what's the time now? So now my time is up. So, but we still try to, in the stadium, when there is a stampede, or I think there was a Ghana-Nigeria football match, and then the people started throwing things and they hurt people and stuff like that. So in this case, when the referee or the coach has been traumatized, so that means that some way, somehow, whenever he hears noise, he might have a phobia. So how do you solve such a problem? One of the problems is that you see a therapist. One of the first thing is a therapist for, that one is not architecture, but a therapist. And then the other thing is that if noise is the issue, then you might need an assistive technology. That when it's on the field or the pitch, music is playing whilst you watch whatever it is, so that any noise, because a coach does not need the noise. He needs to see and give instruction. That's for the coach. So you handle for a football player or whatever that he has to play again, that one you can handle it bit and pieces. Then in terms of, because he was attacked when he was on the field, that means that where the coaches are, you have to design it in such a way that they will not receive the stones on the head. You understand? So that they can protect them. That is, so you look at it case by case and give your scenario and then come up with the interventions. That is how you approach. So there is no yes, true or false answer to these questions, but your assumptions, you look at your answer, the assumptions that you have put in place, and because you can write, that one you can write a book about it, but you only have 30 minutes. So it's assumptions that you put in place and how you answer it, that's how you get your points. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you memorizing it doesn't work, but you understanding what I have to do at any particular point in time is very important.
So with the issue of the trauma, one of the things that can be done to help people like that is decrease like quiet spaces. So like maybe for instance like a train station, somebody like when they hear the noise they get agitated. So on the platform you have like some spaces that are like very quiet. You can see the train and everything, but the way it is designed with the glasses and everything, it kind of keeps the noise down so that they don't get very, very agitated in terms when the train is coming. So on a football pitch too, just like the coach's shed, you can have like such corners for them that when they enter, they can just keep them in there and they can calm themselves down before they get out of the place. So that's also like a solution to the trauma.
That's very good. Let me, this one first. This is your name?
My name is Ali. Well, there's Mohammed too.
There's Mohammed too?
Yeah. So I've seen that most of the solutions are being directed to specific disabilities. So how about a person with multiple disabilities, like someone with eye impairment, visual impairment, and maybe the person cannot talk, the person can't hear. Maybe the only thing the person can do is walk. What happens to this person?
As long as you're not telling me that you have to kill the person, you don't have a problem. That is a challenge. And now you have the solutions for all the rest of it. So you're an architect, right? Or you want to be an architect. So you've been given the ingredients. So now you are in the kitchen. You've been told how to prepare jollof, how to prepare wache, how to prepare soup. And you've been given the ingredients. You are telling me that So if I want to eat jollof, I want to eat wacha, how do I do it? They'll go hungry. No, you have to still work it out. If the person doesn't, because when you have multiple problems like that, they are very special. And you normally don't have a lot of them at the same time. Are you getting it? So in such a case, you try to solve one or two of them. When you create a space which solves people with visual problems and people with mobility problems and people with cognitive, and the person have multiple, you've already provided a solution for that. So your intention is solve the various disability issues, and anybody who has multiple ones will also get a solution when you combine it. But you cannot specifically take one person out of 50 and say that I'm designing for only you. And how about the 50 people? There are 49 people. So just design, make sure that your design is catering for the blind, your design is catering for the dwarfs, the design is catering for the pregnant women. And then when you have a pregnant woman who is blind, who is pregnant, is blind. But there's a provision for pregnant, there's a provision, so the two combined together gives a solution to that particular need. That is why you always have to consider multiple impairments in your design, not only mobility issues. Because a lot of your solutions that we've been seeing is ramp. The first thing is I have a ramp, I have a ramp, I have a lift, I have a ramp, I have a lift. If you are blind, ramp is useless for you. You understand? And if you have cognitive issues, ramp is virtually useless for you. So ramp does not solve disability issues. And
thank you. So I know with this course, or with if you are tolling this line that you want to, maybe if I want to become an expert in PWDs, is something like finding or like an assistant for someone, does it also solve an issue?
That is one of the things that I had wanted to tell you. Can you imagine you really want to go and see your girlfriend every time somebody is following you? Assistant, you are saying assistant, so now you're going to go, you like this lady over here, and because you are blind, anytime you are blind, you have money. Anytime you are going to see her, somebody is telling you are a manager of a bank, you have enough money, you have enough reason to do anything, an architect, and because an accident came and you're in a wheelchair, every time you are going, somebody is following you like that. What sort of this is that? What I want to, so the people, those people there, you want to, those are the first people that you want to remove from your life. That is why we want them to be independent, so that you can, we have a wheelchair that you can operate by yourself. You can operate by yourself, and you go there, you put the lady on your laps, and now you have a small boy following you like that. Please, ask for the people there. They are the first people you want to remove, and you want to use. Let this, unless you think the people are important.
So, I think what Doc is trying to say is, with dealing with persons with disability, you don't want them to feel less of themselves. So the designs should be such that they are able to take care of themselves, so that they don't feel like they are a burden on anyone.
They actually prefer dogs. Dogs. The persons with disability prefer dogs. The dogs, they don't talk. They don't go and make a concern. You get it. They prefer, they have dogs who assist the blind in Europe. All of them have special dogs. Another thing that you see them working with them and stuff like that. Because human beings, what you have not done, they will go and say. And the privacy issues. The dogs, they are faithful. They will go there, they keep all your secrets. So just the fact that, especially, the issue is that just the fact that you are an architect, you were doing so well, and something just happened, and you now in that particular situation, and now all of a sudden, even if you have to go here, you have to call somebody first. That one alone is what normally start killing them fast. So all that we are saying that make the place barrier-free enough, so that though they have gotten something which is unfortunate, they don't feel it so much like the way our environment right now is making them feel. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the essence of it. But if all of a sudden your nephew have to stop school because you get it. So those ones is the first point. When you are now trying to get used to your environment, you need assistance. But after that, you have to be independent. But the independence, our environment is so hostile to all of us that at times it becomes so difficult for us.
Please, do we classify the aged as people with disabilities? And they come with, like, when you're aging, yes. So what primary ones do we cater for? Do we see most, and what do we cater for?
And most likely, one of the questions, I'm supposed to set 3 questions, and then the chief examiner will select one. Definitely, it's going to be the aged will be part of it, because the aged have multiple problems. The knee is paining him, and then the eye is not working, and then he's forgetting. So they are very special, and all of us are going to grow old, God willing. So we are just preparing our environments for our future. You understand? If you grow old, the environments you put in today will address you tomorrow. So when you are planning for them, you always have to create the assumptions and the scenarios that you know that this woman has been working in the bank and is now on retirement. If you are working in the bank and you are on retirement, what are some of the multiple problems that you can easily get? Can you guess? You have back pain, or you've been looking at the computer for a long time. So your eye issues, and what else? You're sitting down for a long time. So these are the issues. Also, it's very easy to now start doing this. And if you're an architect and you are on retirement, what are some of the problems you intend to get? You have eye problems. In 25 years, all of us here will be in spectacles. You see, it says cognitive issues, yes, problems. So, no, it's true. So you make these assumptions that an architect who has 80 years or 70 years that has retired is likely to have cognitive issue because he has been thinking too much or whatever, and you have eye problem because of the computer, you have leg problem because he has been climbing whatever, or you put all those things in place, and hence, for his space, for this is how I'll solve it, for this is how I'll solve it, for this is how I'll solve it. That is how you approach the question, and then you get your full marks. So there is no hard and fast rule. Even the marking scheme that I put there that if you make 3 or mention 4 of this, give me full marks. You understand? Because if you get a banker or, for a pastor who is on retirement, what are some of the ear, oh yes, especially, and now you see that you are now getting it. So because the high volume speakers, you're definitely, with time, you need to shout. When you are even the person is close to you, you have to be shouting. Are you getting it? And then also, because he has been praying too much to the voice, at times he loses his voice and other things. So you always have to design the place. The acoustics have to be such a way that these are the things that so you always have to think first and remove the coat and the jacket of the question, break it down, and then start answering it with the approach of these steps. And it is very simple and very easy. And as I said, this research, or the one that we did, and we brought it to support this in police, it's only I want to, normally when I do my lessons, I give one for free because I ask a question. If you answer it, then you get 1 copy for free. So that question will come after our sister. Please, what's your name? The one who wanted to ask the question. You raised your hand. Okay. So then the question of the day. The question of the day is if the politician, a politician who, during the campaign, a lot of them are going on campaign, and maybe they had an accident, and some of them got hurt, and they have come back to the house. You are supposed to go to the house, and when the accident caused him to have some level of injuries, you have been asked to go and advise how to fix his house to make him feel comfortable and at the same time carry out his duties. How do you deal with this? An MP of Ketu South or Bantama East. How do you deal with this? You have a question for my question?
The disabilities have not been listed.
It has not been listed, so I'm telling that he had an accident. So now, you have to tell me if you get an accident, what's the likely, or you said that he died.
Okay. I think if the person had an accident, most likely it was a car accident. So, okay, so for a car accident, the person can have an arm injury or a leg injury. The person can either lose one of the limbs. The person can also, maybe it's not be a bodily injury, it can also be psychological by what the person saw at the accident site. Also, it can. Okay, so first it will be trauma. So the person will need therapy. But if it's a physical accident. Okay, so you're looking at after the person has gone to the hospital and the person's coming back home, the person will now need a therapist. The person will also need the environment. If there's no ramp or anything, there has to be a ramp for the home, and then
You also wanted to try.
Okay, so assuming it's a car accident and okay, so it's a car accident. If the issue is mobility, then we take the access, right, approaching. So you fix him getting into his house, be it ramps. If it is, you have to introduce the tactile approaches so that he can feel or sensory the handrails and everything. If it is cognitive, apart from seeing the psychologist, maybe the colors within his spaces are calming. If it is sensory, cognitive, sensory.
Let's clap for you too. Now.
So if it's mobility, I think the first thing we'll look at is coming to his house, the gate. We'll try and motorize the gate so that when he comes with his vehicle, he's able to get into his building, where he'll park, and then the route from there to the main door would also have to be checked to see whether it can take his, whether the wheelchair is motorized or not. The ramp, the door coming in, even in his living room and bedrooms, some of the furniture might have to be altered so that he feels comfortable in his space as well.
Let's clap for him too. You see, all of you have answered bits, pieces. So I'll nullify this question, I'll ask you another one. But for this one, what I'm expecting you to do is, first of all, we have approachability, usability, findability. So you first list these ones up. And she did a very good job that she will need a therapist, even in the house. So that means that in that house, because previously you didn't need a therapist. So when a therapist comes to, that means if you have to give a space where, or then in your mind, the therapist will have to have space within, now a nurse will have to come into the space. You understand? So it's more of how you understand even the brief for this particular person. And he's a politician. And what does the politician does, especially when they come MP, people will be coming to him and all those things. So now that is a person with disability, he also needs some privacy. So when the people come in, you might have to create, previously maybe you always receive them, create a lobby where you cut them off before. So now you have to think through the whole process and then come up, when you are solving the issues, approachability, what do you do? Usability, what do you do? Findability, what do you do? Security, what do you do? based on the impairments that you said, oh, he lost one of the limbs and he has trauma and one eye is squinting or whatever it is. So because of that, he has visual impairment, he has this impairment and that's this impairment. And hence, you do this. You have to just be systematic in answering, but if you make it in a story form, then if you're not careful, out of 20, you get 10. You are not wrong, but you didn't get the full marks. But it's always good to classify your answers. So the next question, which this one, our only two options. I didn't want you to. You went to Frankfurt to do this barrier-free, whatever. You want to come and collect this. You've got to do a whole semester on barrier-free, and now you want to come and bully the rest of the class. Your client has come to see you that they want to set up a space for these guys, the people who, the June 3rd fire, whatever, the fire victims, the June 3rd fire victims. It has occurred again June 3rd, 2024. And they want to set up a kindergarten and then a home for those who are affected. What are some of the things that they will do in the new marketplace? They set up a marketplace for the June 3rd, whatever. What are some of the things that they have to do? Or what is going to be your approach? During the June 3rd fire, some 4 or 5 years ago, or whatever it is, there was fire. It destroyed a lot of things at Circle, whatever. Now, there's another fire that destroyed the whole market. Let's say Makola. And they want to now put Makola back into form. What would you, as an architect, what will you consider as a market space? Or you say that I don't like designing markets. Last year, I normally I put you guys into groups and give you 10-15 minutes for you to discuss. And it helps. Well, now they give me a short time. Some of these things, when they ask you at once, you can't get it. You need to have, but I just want to ask to finish. Yes.
Okay, so first what I'll do is do my research on what exactly brought up the fire. So you notice that sometimes it is maybe how the electricals were handled. The reason why I want to do this research is so that at the end of like my gathering, I can educate them.
You are deviated. If the question was under fire, you know the guy who does the fire this thing, then where you are heading towards. But they've told you that there was fire already, and they'll go and prepare a space for the person, and now look at where you are heading towards. There was. You might end up there, but by the time you will not
So first of all, I'll first have to look at the brief, and in the new requirements, I'll include as part of the brief that we should have space for counseling on the site. So that's one of the things I would include on the site. And then since the place is a flood-prone area, design such that the access, even though it's going to be raised, the access to the place, there are no barriers, so approachability. You have the ramps leading up to the place. You'd have even the surface leading to the place. Since it's a flood-prone area and the ground is soft, you have the surface such that those with wheelchairs and those who want to come there, they will not suffer or they will not have a problem trying to navigate their way there. And then you also make provision for the exits. It should be clearly the signs and all of.
Whilst you are listening to her, you see the difficulty you guys give to us when you are marking your scripts. You see, she's not wrong, but you can hear that she's not answering the question. First of all, when the fire came, what were the problems? So you have started solving problems without even telling us what the problems that they faced were. And if some of the people who were part of the fire and they survived are coming back to the marketplace, what are the issues that they are facing? And then the new ones who are coming in, that is how, that is how you deal with you see why still our environment is still full of barriers, because when the problems, we see the problems, but we don't think through all the solutions. You tell us what you also do.
Okay, so for me, this is how I approach the question. First, my assumptions are designing for people who have been through a fire, right? So my first assumption is most of them have burns, and most of them would be they wouldn't like claustrophobic places because they can catch fire and all those things. So those are my first two assumptions. So in terms of approachability, I would make the fire extinguishers and all those things readily visible, and put signage to show maybe fire refuge areas and all those things. In terms of usability, I would go on the route of maybe using materials for the building that do not easily catch fire, or whatever they are living in. Hey. Okay. Oh, but I'm trying to build.
That is, you see, the question is not that difficult. It is within your reach, but the way you are thinking through the solution is where normally you finish. Oh, put me a question. Oh, I kill him. Somebody else to give a try.
Can I give help?
Okay, so two of you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So for Paddy? Etonam. Okay, so based on what he said, for the fire extinguishers and stuff, I think that falls under security and comfort, because then they will feel safer in case a fire does happen. For usability, maybe having the space being a little more open, as opposed to, because he said claustrophobic, can make them feel a little better. Thank you.
And on that, and please, if you take the book, one of the pages there's QR code. All the books that you need under barrier free, you scan it, you get it. So about more than 4 times 6, that's about 24 different books and materials, which you later have to scan and then access it digitally. And then inside there too gives you almost all the things that we are talking about. But this was for a TVET. We did assessment of TVET, and we use it to prepare this. So most of the things that in terms of laboratories, in terms of whatever it is, the solutions are there, the approachability, findability, and also how to do the assessment. We have an assessment. In case you have to do an assessment to get into the back, we have them and some of the sketches that you. So please take note of it. And those of you, we have some with GIA. The GIA need your support. If you don't have money, at least buy the books for them, so that they can also. We really want to do the CPD for this, and we are now trying to team up with Frankfurt University of Applied Sciences. So after your exams, maybe the first batch that will go, we're looking for about 15 to 20 persons who we will train, and then we will get them certified for the next, so that you become certified universal design auditors, where you can now audit buildings and give them the certificates that they have to do. So in the absence of any further questions, I want to thank you very, very, very much for your attention, and have a very wonderful morning.